Thanks for subscribing and listening to the Clive Barker Podcast, the only podcast dedicated to the imagination of Clive Barker. In this episode 209, we go over our favorite stuff from 2018, all that plus a Kickstarter update, and thanks to our backers, and we get a sneak preview of Dark Ditties Finders Keepers. All right. Well, welcome. This is episode 209, and we're finally getting to 2018 in review. And my voice is going to be a little weird because I'm getting over a flu that turned into pneumonia, so my voice is a little weak. But I'm Ryan.
And I'm Joe.
Yeah, I'm Rob.
Hey, Rob. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks for letting me come in and do this again. Really like doing these end of the year reviews.
Yeah, they're very fun, and it's a way to go back and see beat by beat, look at some of the news that came out throughout the entire year of 2018. And we each picked 10 favorite things that happened in 2018. So some of them will be repeated among ourselves, and I'm sure others will be just specific to each one of us because everybody has their own favorites, right? I mean, sometimes something can call deep to you and not to someone else. Like, for example, I see that we all put in Texas Frightmare Weekend.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so that's one of the things that we're probably going to have in common.
Yeah, and so we all got a chance to preview Dark Ditties, the third episode, Finders Keepers. What did you guys think of it?
I liked it a lot. Yeah, go ahead, Rob.
I did too. I thought it was enjoyable.
Yeah.
Had a very gangster Goodfellas vibe to it.
Yeah.
Guy Ritchie, we started recording, I was telling y'all I felt like a Guy Ritchie, kind of like Lock, Stock, Two Smoking Barrels or Snatch.
Yeah. Layer Cake. Layer Cake also has Ken Cranham in it, and Snatch was funny, like Brad Pitt playing like a gypsy mobster, and Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. Holy crap. And the guy that plays like, okay, so probably we shouldn't say any spoilers, right? Because it's not up on Amazon Prime yet. But yeah, there's this kind of MacGuffin that a little bit like Pulp Fiction, I guess, like Marcellus Wallace's briefcase, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, and there's a character that gets shot in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah, horribly.
It's great. I mean, you get to see a lot of these Dark Ditty alumni, but they have their own careers in their own right as well from other movies. You have a lot of return actors from other Dark Ditties. Of course, Simon Bamford is one. And Ken Cranham is in this movie, which is a big deal. Like, holy crap, it's Ken Cranham, Mr. Benoit.
Yeah.
And it's great. Like Stan Rollins, who we saw in Mrs. Wiltshire and The Offer, he's in this one as well, and he again plays a great, like, hired hand of sorts. But yeah, like you said, Rob, has a lot of like English mobsters,
very
right?
English, mob. Yeah.
And you get to see Annie Wiltshire, and she is who I thought she was, but I don't want to spoil it, but yeah, definitely, check this out as soon as it shows up on Amazon Prime, which I think is is it the 15th that it's coming out?
I think so. I'm sure they will let us know the exact date, but yeah, keep an eye out for that because it's coming out this year. And also the next one, The Witching Hour, is also coming out in 2019. So that's something to look forward to. I wonder how many episodes they're going to do for Dark Ditties. I think I remember at some point they mentioned 5 or 6. I'm not sure. Yeah.
And we'll be doing commentaries for all of them.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's one of the goals from the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
And so it was so much fun. I love the music, the soundtrack that they used for Finders Keepers.
Yeah.
It's the opening is this kind of grindhouse style opening, and the
credits
very, very entertaining.
The titles come up. It was very grindhouse.
Yeah,
That's what I was trying to think of last night.
Yeah.
And all these clips have connections between them, and all these episodes have these like common elements. If it's not characters, then it's like objects that appear in every single episode. Like, for example, Mrs. Wiltshire, you get like this owl that appears also in The Offer. and it also appears in this movie. So they're always like giving you that wink and a nod, like, hey, you remember this? Here it is again. And yeah, so it temporarily precedes the offer in certain ways, of course, because there are some indications of that, and it's, I would say, a kind of a prequel, but it's not necessarily connected to the offer, or maybe it is, because it seems like they're setting up a larger story arc that connects all these things together. So I thought it was great. I loved it.
Yeah, and we had an interview with the people who make Dark Ditties, and talked a little bit about the overarching story with there's the cult of the risen word, and the reason why they have that
a very big interview y'all did with a lot of guys. Yeah, that
competition with that happens in the offer. There's a reason behind it, and it's all kind of interesting, and we found out that Annie Wiltshire was talking to Max Benoit when Mrs. Wiltshire called her.
Oh, right, yeah. That connects it again to the timeline of the Mrs. Wiltshire episode there. Yeah. Cool.
And you see her in episode 3 in Finders Keepers. Yeah, and when they described Finders Keepers to us, I imagined like a bunch of guys finding a briefcase in the woods and then fighting about who gets to keep it. So this is a little different from what I thought it was.
Yeah, there's more to it, right?
Yeah.
There's more to it, and there's comic relief. There's, holy crap, the guy who I think really steals the show is one of those. Yeah,
that's my opinion on it, but.
Yeah, the guy, the old guy with the gun. That he's kind of the tough.
Oh, Frank,
tough guy.
I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, he's really steals the episode there. It's like great, and you get to see the guy who played Frank the Monster. What's his name?
Barry.
Oliver Smith.
Yeah.
Barry in this.
Playing
Barry.
Playing a different part. That was cool.
Yeah, they're like the comic relief that you usually get in certain movies. There's 2 of them actually. Yeah. So they're 2 hunters in the woods, and they're great. I love those characters.
I love the part when he asked if he could eat the sandwich. Which
maybe jumping a little bit to the end there, but
we won't explain what that is, but when you get there, you'll see what I mean.
Yeah. Right, and so that was great to see. There's comic relief. There's like super heavy scenes. There's great solid effects work by Stuart Conran, who's also a producer of this one, and of course you get the usual people from Dark Ditties. Neil Morris, Gary Smart. People who produced and wrote the story, and you guys are doing a great job, man. You guys are doing a great job. Seriously, it's. I hope that you guys get a wider international audience with Dark Ditties on Amazon, because you guys totally deserve it.
Yeah. So I can't wait for that to come out so we can talk about it properly, in our commentaries.
Commentary track's going to be great.
It's got its own very unique style to it, and I think that's deserving of a bigger audience. So, yeah, I agree with Jose. Let's hope it can find that.
All right. Well, and really quick update for our Kickstarter. The reward surveys, I put those together last night. So if you contributed and you're waiting to... I had somebody email me and saying, hey, it never even asked me for my address. I said, well, I've been sick, so sorry, I haven't been spending a lot of time on it, and honestly, Kickstarter hasn't sent the money over yet anyway. But I took a bunch of time last night and put together all the surveys and sent them out. So you can not only update your address now on the survey, but you can also write in, because we had a lot of people adding in money to their orders and then messaging us like on Facebook or email or through the Kickstarter, like what they changed to their order, what they wanted us to set aside. So I just said also put in the survey like how you modified your order, what extra money you put in for shipping, and what other things you wanted. So then I have it all in one place. And redundancy is good, because I may not be able to track down every single message that everybody left about how they changed their orders and stuff.
Yeah, you put a lot of work into the Kickstarter, and you're kind of the guy who takes care of all this stuff, and you do an amazing job. So I just want to give a kudos to you, and a big thanks to everybody who supported us on our Kickstarter.
Yeah.
And we've got the thank you list here, starting the very first person and friend of the show who's been on our podcast before, Ben Warren.
Yeah, thank you, Ben, for your generous donation, and we look forward to talking to you on the podcast again if you ever want to come in.
Yeah.
He was in the Magic episode.
Yeah, and that was a great episode. He even recorded some music that we used there. Jason St. Pierre, who has also been a returning backer, and we appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
The Creative Fund, I think they're more of like a something that gives to lots of Kickstarters. Kristen, Adam Ducey.
Very appreciated.
Yeah. Jacob Hendricks.
Thank you so much.
Paul Schaaf. John Thielking. Lori Markle Bische.
Thank you, Lori.
Yeah.
You're always great to talk to, Lori. You have to get on the episode one day. You have to get on the show.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, and she
for the Dark Ditties commentaries. Yeah. Next is Danielle Elven. Thank you so much for helping us out. An old friend from the days of the Hellbound Web. And Rob Robinson again. Thank you so much for contributing to our Kickstarter. Of course, Elena DeGarmo. She's been with us from the beginning. We got to meet her at the Nightbreed screening at the Crest in Los Angeles. Always so good to have you on our friend list, and always so good to have you give us feedback about the show. David Anderson, we have to get you on the episode again, man. You have to come on. You have to talk to us about Lord of Illusions and stuff.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
And who is that next one? Rob? Right?
Yeah, can't really see his last name. How do you pronounce it?
Yeah, thanks, Rob. We really appreciate that.
Yeah.
And Roger Beckett. And then there's an anonymous person, guest number something or other.
Mysterious.
Yeah. David Barraza. Matt Batten.
Thank you.
Geist de la Muerte Gatito. So is that...
Okay, that's a fun name.
The ghost of the dead cat. Is that what that means?
Gatito means small kitten.
Yeah.
Geist means ghost in German. De la Muerte means of the death. So you can translate that any way you want. But thank you for contributing to our
thank you.
To our Kickstarter. Thank you so much.
Matt Dowling, and then Hazard. Richard Rich.
Richard Rich. Than's, man.
Yeah, man.
Keep on rocking. Another anonymous guest.
Yep. And then Bradley Gartz. Yay, Bradley Gartz. He's been with us since the beginning, even back since the raffle ones that we did.
Did we meet him at Texas Frightmare Weekend, or am I thinking about someone else?
No.
We met him at the Nightbreed screening, right?
Yeah, definitely we did. Yeah, at the Nightbreed screening we did.
Thank you, Bradley.
Mo Abersheid. I probably pronounced that wrong. Martin Good. Stephen Nasrawy. Adam Brandon. Paul Audino. Nikolai. Yeah, and Dimitrios Lakomentas.
Wow, that's a cool Greek name.
Yeah, he's been in a lot of our Kickstarters as well. And
Thank you so much for your contribution.
And then Catalina Carida, who has been kind of admonishing herself. Yeah, she was kind of lamenting that she put it off until the end. But we really appreciate it. Thank you, Catalina.
They got a pin. So they were in time. So thank you, Catalina from Little Spark Films, who was also at Texas Frightmare Weekend with us and was one of the people who edited our Cenobite panel interview. So thank you so much. And also Timo Junnila and, of course, Don Bertram, a great artist and a friend of the podcast who's sponsored us for several years now. Thank you so much for your generous donation.
Oh, yeah. Yes, thank you. Because of you guys, we were able to pay the bills. We'll be able to do interviews and talk about the Abersheid trilogy. We'll keep doing news episodes and doing news audio and Dark Ditties audio commentary. We'll talk about the Harrowers comics.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. By Gene Colan, a giant of Marvel Comics from the 70s and 80s.
Oh, cool. The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, we'll do audio commentary for that. I think in April, they're going to have season 2. So we're going to be up to our ears in audio commentaries.
Yeah. They settled that lawsuit with the Satanic Temple.
I'd heard that, yeah.
Oh, did they? I'd heard about that.
Yeah. They probably got a undisclosed amount of cash.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, there were debates raging about whether it was okay for them to use that, and some people said it was just a generic symbol. Other people said, well, they stole that statue directly from the Satanic
It is
Temple.
copyrighted. Yeah, they had a case, so that's why they settled. And we'll be able to talk about Abersheid, Abersheid 1 and 2, Absolute Midnight, and who knows when Kier Rising is going to come out.
Yeah. And the Duels of Blood, we'll be doing the Nightbreed version of the Duels of Blood around March.
Duels of Blood.
Yeah. And commentaries for the movies in the Clive Barker's A to Z of Horror.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
A through D.
That should be really fun. We'll go through some of those.
I'm really looking forward to the commentaries on that one.
Yeah, it'll be a way to expand. Yeah. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say the movies that y'all are going to watch. I'm curious about that,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're going to have to... I mean, I think some of those letters have a lot of movies, so we're going to have to kind of probably pick 3 from each of those letters.
Well, Godzilla for sure. That's one of the movies that is mentioned, right?
Yeah, I think there are 30 Godzilla movies.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, that'll be fun to pick.
I think about 31 or 33 or something like that, because I got them all once, and I saw that there were more than 30. But I guess it depends on whether you add some of them to the mix or not.
Yeah.
Like the American ones. Yeah.
Yeah, and I have them on Blu-ray. I'd have to count them again, I guess.
So that's going to be fun, coming up with 64 Nightbreed characters to make the brackets at the Duels of Blood. Yeah, it's going to be the 4th edition, right?
Yeah, I think we can do it. I've started. When we came up with the idea, I started a note for us. So anytime anybody thinks of one, just type it in there, and hopefully we'll get to 64.
Yeah,
and then we'll pit them randomly against each other again. So. Like we did with the Cenobites last year.
I predicted Peliquin's probably going to win until the last few rounds, so I'm expecting that one to go really far.
I predict that Onaka is going to win because of a certain super fan.
Yeah. Who knows? Yeah, that's a possibility. Onaka, he's going to have a big fan base.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess now we can kind of move into our 2018 in review. And Rob, do you want to do your? We'll start with our number 10. Do you want to do yours first?
Yeah, sure. Mine was the Nightbreed TV series announcement, or hearing about if that's going to happen this year. That was my number 10. I still hope it's happening. I haven't really heard much about it in a few months, but it sounds like the direction they're going to go in is going to be a kind of like picking up from where the movie's going to end, where the movie ended.
Yeah,
right. So is it still Josh Stolberg that's writing that?
Yes, I think so.
Right. So this was a pilot that they're going to do for SyFy. That was in my list as well, so scratch that one out.
Yeah, mine too.
And it was a complicated process, right, to come up with this whole thing. The idea for a TV show really started back in the days of Occupy Midian, and it was going to be a completely different thing. But then, finally, after much consideration, I guess the Morgan Creek ended up doing talks with some producers, and they're going to do it with SyFy. I think it's still moving forward. I haven't heard anything saying otherwise.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That's going to be exciting to see Nightbreed show up on SyFy. I hope the pilot makes it to broadcast. Sometimes some pilots are made and they don't end up on the TV, but I hope that this one does.
Yeah, it would be really good to be able to see it at least.
Yeah, I think that this, depending on execution, of course, I think this has, strong legs to go far if they do it right. And there's lots of people out there who may never have heard of Nightbreed, and this will always also send them in the direction of the movie and Clive Barker. So that's always a positive thing.
I think sometimes people have mentioned that SyFy tends to cancel shows before they're finished.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's a shame. There are some shows that have been canceled recently on Netflix, especially Marvel shows. I heard that Vikings, that used to be on History Channel, is getting canceled, but there's still a season 6 that's going to come out. And SyFy has some good shows. They canceled The Expanse, which was one of my favorite shows.
And they canceled Caprica after like one season, didn't they? That spin-off of Battlestar Galactica.
I think so, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they have a history of that sort of thing. So we'll see how this goes. For now, they're not shooting a season. They're just shooting a pilot. So that's what we heard.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, Jose, what was your number 10?
Well, I didn't make them in a particular order, but I do have 10 items. My number 10 was the Texas Frightmare Weekend Convention, and getting to meet Clive and getting to meet the people, from A Little Spark Films, getting to do that amazing panel in Simon Bamford's hotel room with Paul T. Taylor, Nicholas Vince, Simon Bamford, Barbie Wilde. That was an amazing.
Kevin Yeager.
Getting to Kevin Yeager. Yeah. So for me, that was an entirely, landmark experience for 2018.
Yeah, that was my number 1.
That was great. That was super awesome.
Guys, getting lost down there. That was funny meeting Katie Irby, helping me to get out of there.
Yeah, that was
probably still be down there. No, but that was great being able to hang out, watching Barn of the
Blood
crazy
Lava.
movie was.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, getting to meet Red Van Gool. Getting to meet their friends and just hanging out and meeting people in line waiting to talk to Clive. And I took a bunch of BarkerCast calling cards and I gave so many away in line. And we were talking to people. We were checking out things that they had, Rawhead Rex masks, amazing things that they had in line to be signed. Yeah. So that was a lot of fun. And even people who came up to us and said, "Hey, I wanted to meet you guys." And I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, right.
I was standing with you, Ryan, next to some pillar in the hotel, and this guy came up and was like, "Hey, it's great to meet you guys." And I'm like, "Wow. Yeah. Hey, here's an actual listener coming up to us and saying, 'Hey, I listened to your podcast. You guys do a great job.'" I'm like, "Wow."
That was awesome.
Thank you so much for doing that, because that really, sometimes it's easy to think you're just recording this and throwing it out in the ether, and it's it kind of exists in a vacuum and we don't really have a lot of feedback. But it's when we get the Kickstarter going that we see the love that people have for the show and for Clive Barker and for the way that we discuss things, and then actually meeting someone and be like, "Wow, can we take a picture?" It's like, "Yeah, dude, let's take a picture. Let's, here." Great stuff.
Well, and Clive Barker still has a huge fan base, and it's easy to forget that when you have to explain to your friends at work what you do for a podcast. They're like, "Clive who?"
Yeah, so it's not, as much of a household name as it was back in the 90s, but, I've never, now that I'm doing the podcast with you guys, it's I've never been so busy seeing so many news about Clive Barker stuff coming out. Maybe it's because we just put the spotlight on it because of the show and we pay more attention to it. And back when I was in the 90s, I only found out about a Hellraiser movie coming out when it came out,
Yeah.
I found out about Bloodline when I saw it in my video store, and I was like, "Hey, a new Hellraiser."
Yeah.
And it's nowadays, all the things that are going on, everything. The internet has rumors and leaks and, crazy.
I remember when Hellworld came out, and I'm like, didn't they just do a Hellraiser sequel? I thought Deader just came out.
Well, yeah. I mean, what about Yeah, right. Well, they did say that they were going to put both movies out in the same year. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
One of them came out in July and the other one came out in September or something like that. It was just a small difference of months between each one. So
yeah, it just seemed like too much.
Yeah, they just dumped those. That was a shame. So Ryan, what was your number 10?
Our discussion with Dr. Sorka line on Dark Imaginer. I thought that was fun. It was a good. That was a good episode. I think like 202 or 201. Mm-hmm. It was, but that was really great. We got to talk Clive Barker with a professor who teaches it, which was kind of neat.
It was amazing. That was on my number 2. Sorkany Line, who edited Dark Imaginer, the book. Reading the book and the discussion was part of my top moments for 2018. I loved having her on the show twice, and I hope she had as much fun as we did. Yeah,
it was great. And Rob, what was your next one?
Were you number 8? Would that be number 9?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And which order?
Mine aren't really in any kind of order either.
Okay, well, I'll just say my next one is I'll start with the Little Hellraisers by Nina and Ed.
Oh, yeah.
Y'all did a lot of cool couple episodes with them, and I really got a kick out of those episodes and learning about Ed Martinez's career and his, the things he's done over the years. And then him and his wife put together this little short film that was pretty fun. With Papa. It's a character, the character from Ghost, the lead singer.
Yeah.
From Ghost. They did like this little stop motion animation thing.
Yeah.
And it was really fun.
He's Papa George. Yeah.
Yeah, Papa George.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was a really good. That was one of my favorite things from the year. It wasn't just that. It was just I should have been more given more explanation. But it was just hearing about Nina and Ed Martinez's lives and their stories that y'all were able to talk with them about an episode y'all did.
Yeah, I think it's fun because if we were in the 90s, that's probably what we would be doing rather than a podcast. We would be doing a fanzine like they did with Cenobium.
Yeah, those were really cool.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that part too. It was on my top 10. You mentioned Cenobium. We worked on that Deep from the Vaults #2 article on our blog about the Cenobium, and that was a highlight of 2018 was getting back in touch with Ed and Nina, Ed Martinez, talking to them about Cenobium, talking to them on Halloween episode 201. That was the bonus episode where they told us stories about the haunted house that they worked on, and they had a Hellraiser room, and they were telling us all the ways that they did that, and they had a giant engineer creature that they made out of materials, and that was one of the things that it didn't only result in making a couple of episodes. It resulted in us having a new friendship or an old friendship that was renewed because we knew him back from the days of the Hellbound Web Forum, and they were the ones who supplied the creator of the Hellbound Web with lots of scripts and behind the scenes images and photos they got from people who worked in the Hellraiser films. And so they were always very connected, and getting in touch with them and getting to revisit Cenobium was very fun. So that was one of the highlights of my year. Ed, if you're listening, love you, man.
Yes, definitely.
Love our phone conversations. Have to get in touch with you this weekend, and my best to you and Nina.
Yeah, that's
definitely awesome. I promise I'll watch those Mr. H reviews you've been wanting me to watch about Hellraiser. I just haven't really had the time.
Oh yeah.
They're a little long, but I promise I'm gonna get to watch them.
Mr. Age on YouTube has had some interesting videos about Hellraiser. Apparently, he got his hands on some scripts, and he was discussing some ideas for the remake that were never put out in public. But he found a copy of that, and he talks about those things. And so there's some interesting things to unpack there at a future episode.
Yeah. All right. And Jose, what was your next one?
Year of the Candyman. So 2018 was the year of the Candyman, and it seems like 2019 is geared to become a very big year for Candyman fans as well, right?
Yeah.
Because Arrow Video and Shout Factory both put out different Blu-rays for Candyman, and was it Candyman 1 and Candyman 2?
Just Candyman 1.
Just the first one, yeah. So Blu-rays with lots of content, commentary tracks. Tony Todd is in some of those, and
there's a great,
and a great interview.
New interview with Clive Barker on the Arrow Video.
Right, the Dark Explicit, Clive Barker interview that we got a chance to see, and was very in-depth, very intimate interview with Clive. So yeah, Jordan Peele working on Candyman's spiritual sequel that's coming out in 2020. It's being produced in 2019 in the spring. It's going to be directed by Nia DaCosta, and they just announced that the script is done. So that's exciting for Candyman fans that there's a new Candyman movie that's going to come out produced by Monkey Paw, which is Jordan Peele's production company. So, and like Tony Todd is doing photo ops in character now at conventions. Atlanta.
Yeah, he's going to be in Atlanta, yeah.
Yeah. So Days of the Dead, I think.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yes, I think Days of the Dead Atlanta.
Yeah, and we got a new Clive Barker interview in the Arrow Video, so that was great. It was the year of the Candyman, right? And there's soundtracks and stuff. So
for Christmas I got the vinyl soundtracks for the first and second.
That's awesome.
They're really sounded really nice.
And
are they the ones that have the honey yellow vinyl and stuff, or is that?
No, unfortunately those sold out. Those were like just special editions apparently, but I would have loved to have had those. Yeah, I really was hoping it would be that, but no, unfortunately it wasn't.
So I'm looking forward to being Candyman's victim in 2019.
Yeah.
I ordered the Shout Factory Candyman from Christmas gift card, so
cool.
I'm looking forward to that coming in the mail.
You'll have to let us know how different that is from the Arrow.
Make a review.
Yeah, I don't have the Arrow one, so I don't really know.
Yeah.
What about you, Ryan? What's your next item?
Episode 200. I was blown away by all the, I was hoping that a few people would leave like little, congratulations messages, but we actually had something like 40 of them.
Yeah. There should be cake. Amazing. Wasn't that the title of that one? There should be cake. That was Ann Bobby who said that.
Mm-hmm.
We got so many wonderful messages from previous guests of the podcast as well, actors, writers, authors, and we got also lots of messages from listeners, and that's always great because we thrive on feedback from you guys. It's how we make the show better. It's when we get feedback from you guys. So this was a big display of love, and it really warmed my heart for all these like video bits that were put throughout the episode.
I was happy for y'all on that one.
Yeah. So, Rob, what was your next one?
Hearing about Clive Barker's Tortured Souls being revived by McFarlane Toys was another one for me. I hope that's still going to happen. I don't know if that's what's going on with that. He wants to revive a lot of his old toy lines.
Yeah.
Spawn and the movie Maniacs. This was a report that happened in October, so I know he's working on his new Spawn movie. They're supposedly make, and I don't know what's going on. If he's trying to rebuild his company, But that was something I would love to see. The Tortured Souls would be revived. I don't know if it's new characters or if it's just he's gonna bring out the old characters with new characters. It was kind of vague with what he said, but I would love.
That was going to be my next question. Yeah, I was wondering if there was going to be new characters. I think we asked that question as well when the news came out and you made the news blog post. It'll be interesting to see those characters come back. I mean, you can find them still on eBay and stuff, but some of them can be a little expensive. So
yeah.
I would love to see Clive, maybe come back and maybe write some original stories for some of the characters, because the first series was always great because of that. I thought it brought more. It made the character, the figurine, it kind of brought them to life in a way than just the toys just being toys you play with or open or just put on or just display them on your wall. I thought that was really cool. Always they put that. They didn't. Wasn't there a book company that I have the book somewhere? It's where they all put all the stories together in one book.
Yeah. Tortured Souls came out. The Legends of Primordium story came out in a little book form. I'm not sure. Yeah. It's an interesting story. It was meant to be just blurb for the toys, but then for the figures. But then they just they made a little hardcover with the dragon on the cover as well. So that was cool. I don't think that came out in 2018 though. That was older than that.
Yeah.
So Tortured Souls had kind of a tortured history, right? I mean, basically the reason why Tortured Souls were created was because McFarlane Toys didn't have the rights at the time to make the Cenobite toys, which later got put out by NECA. And then there was this movie adaptation that was going to be done by Clive Barker, years ago. And that never happened. So, and now it's coming back. So we're looking forward to that, see if that's going to be something that's going to happen in 2019.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be interesting. I mean, I think that, I don't know, that almost sounded like he was kind of just wishful thinking.
Maybe hyping something, maybe just talk. Yeah, maybe it could have been.
Throwing it out there to see if people were interested.
Well, I know that report, it seemed people did we got a lot of responses on that report, so.
Yeah.
I know the fans definitely are interested in seeing that come.
Yeah, definitely.
Love those to come back.
Oh yeah, they're amazing collectibles for sure.
Okay, and Jose, what's the next one you'd want to talk about?
Hey, Paul Kane's Hellraisers finally came out. So this book has been gestating for the last 10 years almost, and I pre-ordered it back in 2008 when it was first announced that it was coming out. And it seems like it was a complicated delivery, right? I mean, we kept covering this on our blog when we started talking about it. When the podcast started, it had been 4 years since the first pre-order came out for Hellraisers, and we have been talking about this every year. Like, hey, the Hellraisers book is coming out, and Paul Kane tells us something like it's coming out by the end of the year, and we're like, hey, it's coming out by the end of the year. The year came and went, nothing happened. And then another year came and, it's coming out this year. And then finally, it's available now for purchase on Amazon. Kindle store.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I haven't had a chance to read it yet. I'm sorry.
Either. I don't have a Kindle.
Yeah. You can actually watch it also. You can use Kindle books on your browser. If you have an Amazon account, you can still read the book on your browser.
And there's a Kindle app for like iPhone and iPad and stuff too.
And smartphones, Android.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So we're looking forward to that. That's definitely going to make its way into our episode lineup for 2019. Hellraisers by Paul Kane, a book of interviews with the people who directed Hellraiser movies and were starred in Hellraiser movies. So finally it's coming out. So, go ahead and check it out on Amazon and purchase the Kindle version. I heard that the paperback or hardcover is going to come out soon after that.
That'd be awesome.
That's the one I want to get.
And let's see, my next one, the Duels of Blood that we did with the Cenobites. I thought that was pretty fun. We came up with we found 64 Cenobites by kind of going through all the movies and all the comic books until we filled it up, and that was fun. It was really strange to see Doug Bradley Pinhead up against Paul T. Taylor's Pinhead at the end. It's not. When we did this, these were all paired up randomly, and it just happened to work out that way.
These are always fun to make, and they get lots of votes. They get thousands and thousands of votes every round, and we particularly had this, Lori from Simon Bamford Fans on Facebook. Yeah. She made a big campaign for Butterball, and it went pretty far.
She made a video.
Yeah,
She made several videos.
It's like a rap. It's like a take on that song, "Big Butts."
Yeah, and Hellraiser Judgment Promotions did a lot of campaigning for Paul T. Taylor's Pinhead. Also,
they did.
Right. Paul T. Taylor on his Facebook page as well, telling people to vote for him, and he got pretty far as well. So I'm looking forward to the Nightbreed one that we're going to do this year. But it's always fun to do Hellraiser. More people know about Hellraiser than Nightbreed, I think. So Hellraiser is always a big lighthouse for all the fans to come in and vote on their favorite Cenobites.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, Rob, what's your next one?
Speaking of Hellraiser, mine was I got for Christmas the Hellbound 30th anniversary vinyl release.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and that was Hellbound's my favorite of the series, so I wanted to get that, and it had some extra music on there that's never been released before.
Is that the Lakeshore release?
Yeah, Lakeshore release. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful, vinyl. The way the records look, kind of looks like Julia's or Skin Body. The way the colors.
Is it red? The red vinyl?
Red.
One? Yeah, that looks great.
Very bright red. And that's one of I think it's one of Christopher Young's best scores.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. The Black Mass theme that he had going was just amazing. It blew my mind back then when I saw the movie opening, and it still blows my mind whenever I put the CD on. I try not to play it too often, so I don't get too used to it, but it still makes my skin get all goosebumpy and stuff when I listen to the big cymbals and the horns. They start dun 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 dun. It's like, oh my God, this works so well for me.
It's so good they put it in Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, I know they did.
Yeah, Dr. Octopus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Doc Ock.
Yeah. To think I hesitated.
But also they had some cool linear notes from about the film. And it was just an overall good, nice package they put together for the. So if you're a fan of vinyls or just the Hellbound Christopher Young, I highly recommend picking this up.
All right. Hey, so next up for me, it's Seth MacFarlane and writer Brannon Braga of Star Trek fame. And well, he's really like a effects artist as well. He did a lot of the effects for Cosmos, the Space-Time Odyssey, and also Star Trek Next Generation. So there was an article that came out from, I think, Bleeding Cool that said Seth MacFarlane and writer Brannon Braga are working together to bring Clive Barker's famous short story collection of Books of Blood, to the small screen as an anthology series for Hulu. And it just came and went, and I haven't heard anything about this from any other website. So it's like, I don't know what's going on with this. Is this real? It came out in July, so it wasn't an April Fool's joke.
I totally forgot about this.
Yeah, it seems to be stuck in some sort of development, behind the scenes thing, and I have no idea what's going on with that.
Or they just made it up. I mean, no other website we're talking about it.
Yeah, that I saw at the time. So that would be interesting. Seth MacFarlane and Brannon Braga bringing their talents together to make adaptation of the Books of Blood stories. Yeah. Is this still happening? Hey, are you an insider? Do you have any information about this? You can leak it to us anonymously. Call us the Barker WikiLeaks. Okay, give us something to work with. Yeah. Let us know if this is still going on. We just need to know a yes or no.
I don't think it was ever going on. I think that was a rumor or a lie.
I don't know. So you know how these things are. I mean, when Jordan Peele it came back up that said, "Oh, Jordan Peele is working on Candyman," and we were like, "Yeah, that happened back when before he even did Get Out." So and that kind of fizzled out. But now here we are. Director named, script completed, production beginning on spring of 2019. So I don't know. It's sometimes these things are gears are moving, but not many people are looking at the gears. Oh yeah. So hopefully this is the case.
Well, I would love for there to be a Books of Blood TV series. That would be great. But I don't know. It seems like it's too good to be true.
There's so many great stories to see.
Yeah, what worries me is that everything is becoming its own streaming service nowadays, right? So
Yeah.
like you want to watch Star Trek, you got to pay for CBS All Access. You want to watch Stranger Things, you have to have Netflix. You want to watch something else, you have to go on Hulu.
Or
or
Game of Thrones, you need HBO Go or HBO Now.
Right. And it's just becoming really a concern because I can't pay for all these like streaming services.
Yeah.
Right now I just have Amazon Prime and I have Netflix.
Me too.
That's it.
That's all I've got. Yeah.
Yeah, and I got YouTube TV. But so I these streaming service paywalls are a little annoying. But
Yeah.
I guess if and when this Books of Blood anthology adaptation comes to Hulu, I guess I'll have to get Hulu.
If that happens, I think I would too. I mean, geez. We could use some of our Kickstarter money for that, maybe.
Yeah.
But
so looking forward to that.
Yeah. Yeah, I tried Hulu. I did their trial, and I don't know. It just there wasn't anything I wanted to watch on it, and I just like, nah, I'm not paying for this.
I remember back when Hulu, you could watch it for free. You just had to watch ads. And I think that's not the way it is now. I haven't been on Hulu for a while, but it seems like you guys had forgotten about this one too, right? I mean, it came out in July. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just don't put any stock in it. I mean, nobody else. It only showed up on one blog, and then and all the comments were like, "Where'd you get this from? What's your source?" And they didn't respond, and I don't know. It just seemed hokey and like dubious.
I guess we'll find out with time.
Hits on their side or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe it was wishful thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my next one is the play scripts that we never got to see before. Hunters in the Snow and The Magician. I think both of those came out in 2018. I can't remember exactly if that's true or not.
They did. That's true. They did. And that was also on my list. So the Crazy Face, of course, we already had from those theater volumes, Incarnations and Forms of Evil. But Hunters in the Snow was a particularly interesting script to make an episode about. And I love these little play scripts that are being put out by the Clive Barker Archive. So looking forward to what they're going to bring in 2019.
Yeah, definitely. And Hunters in the Snow and The Magician. It was really great to see plays that we'd never seen before. And I think putting them in these individual inexpensive books is really smart. I think it's probably a better way to get them out there, where people can make productions of them rather than having to buy big anthologies of plays.
Yeah, so I think 2017 saw The History of the Devil and The Magician, and then 2018 saw Crazy Face and Hunters in the Snow.
Oh, okay.
So are they just trying to release a couple a year? Is that going to be like format or?
Yeah, I wonder if that will pick up when they're done with Imaginer, because Imaginer is a pretty huge project.
Yeah.
And 5 and 6 came out in 2018, I believe, right? I think 5 and 6.
Yes. I believe so.
Yeah,
I think
right. Yes, for Imaginer.
Yeah, they've been stepping up the pace for those. Yeah,
and
that's great.
They've been teasing on their website and Twitter and stuff that we can't wait to tell you what's coming for 2019, and they showed a stack of the Imaginer books. So I bet they're going to finish up the Imaginer series in 2019. Because
that'd be tremendous.
They would just have to do 2 of them, 7 and 8. So I think they can do it.
Okay, who's next?
Rob.
I really enjoyed one of my favorites was just from the Dark Ditties series, The Offer. I thought that was a good way to start that series off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely.
I thought it was a good combination of it kind of reminded me of that particular episode reminded me of like 7 kind of a Tales from the Crypt, House on Haunted Hill.
It did, yeah. Those are great comparisons.
Kind of a Saw kind of vibe to it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
It was a great episode. It was a good way to intro into the series. Had some really nasty stuff in it, like when Nick Vince got Well, I don't want to spoil it, but he had a very, very, very ugly demise.
Yeah, so a bunch of people get together in a house, and they have to answer some questions, and then if they get the answers wrong, then they're taken out of the game. Ominous tone.
Yeah, well, so, and they really can't get it right. I mean, there's no way for them to get it right.
No.
Because he just changes the answer if they get it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so these are all on Amazon Prime, so go check out the offer one, the episode 1, and then there's episode 2, Mrs. Wiltshire, which to me was also a big highlight of the year, but it's got Simon Bamford in it, and you will be touched, moved, you will be scared, and I just love the Dark Ditties Presents series that's being put out right now.
All right. Yeah, I agree. And Jose, what was your next one?
Well, this is very important for people in the UK. So Russell Charrington, who worked at the Cabal Cut and who's tried to do some work for Jacqueline S., her Last Will and Testament movie, and he's been friends with Clive Barker for years, and he's one of his major collectors. He organized an exhibit of Clive Barker art called Hybrid, and this was the second ever Clive Barker exhibition in the UK, and it happened in October and November of this year in Derby at the Anvil Gallery. So I hope some of you guys were able to go there and check out the paintings that were on display and for sale. So that was kind of a landmark thing because it was the second ever Clive Barker exhibit in the UK.
Yeah. Yeah, if one of us was there, it would be cool to be able to report on it and stuff. But, we're kind of far away.
Yeah.
Good luck with that. I would wish him the best of luck with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know he's working on a movie right now. Russell Charrington is trying to get some of his art pieces into good collectors' hands so he can go to LA and complete production on a new project that he's doing. So best of luck to Russell for that.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see how that goes. And I want to know what movie it is.
Yeah, me too.
Hopefully it's a Clive Barker, something Clive Barker related.
I don't think it is, but I guess we'll find out. Yeah.
All right. So, speaking of Dark Ditties, I guess my next one would be our interview that we did not too long ago with the folks from Dark Ditties. We had Gary Smart and Stuart Conran and Simon Bamford
and Stan Rawlings. Yeah. And
that was a lot of fun. That was a great interview that we did. And thanks.
It was episode 198.
Yeah. Yeah, and we got to talk to them, and they answered our questions about the Dark Ditties, which, I think some of those things were answered by seeing this new episode 3. But yeah, it was pretty cool. And we even had a special spoiler section that was a separate little mini episode after, where I asked questions that, might be spoilerish for people who hadn't seen them yet.
That was a lot of fun. It was great to talk to them and see how they work, how they operate as a team, and talk to the actors and know how they prepare for some of these roles. And, Mrs. Wiltshire, I guess... like I was talking to you guys before we started recording, it seems like the Dark Ditties is becoming better with every episode that comes out, and it seems like it's a learning experience, and the talent they bring to the table is so big for some of these episodes, which is really a treat.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to seeing where the story goes and what happens to the cult of the Risen Word and stuff. All right. So Rob, what was your next one?
My next one was Hellraiser Judgment. Actually, I really enjoyed this film. I know it's mixed between the fans, but I thought Gary Tunnicliffe did a very good job of bringing some new, material to the mythology of the story.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked Paul T. Taylor's performance as Pinhead.
Of course, yeah, that was fun.
It was not, it didn't have much of a budget, but for what they had, I thought, they did, good. They did, they made an entertaining film.
Yeah, it came out in February, and so February of 2018. And it seems like it was longer than that. I was thinking to myself, was that actually this year, or was that last year?
I had to check it myself.
Yeah, because we'd been talking
we've been
about
waiting for that movie to come out for
a couple of years,
at least a year before it came out, maybe even a couple of years. But so there was a lot of stuff that came out around that time as well. I know that Midnight's Edge on YouTube ended up making interviews with Gary Tunnicliffe, and they talked about Hellraiser Judgment. We got to communicate with Gary Tunnicliffe. That was one of my runner-up, top 10 things here at the end. Was when, Rob, you got to make a written interview with Gary Tunnicliffe, right? Yeah, that was.
It was he was gracious enough to do one to help with the commentary that we did.
Yeah. He listened to it, and he was kind enough to send some words about it. That was a lot of fun. I felt like we actually got close to Gary that time, and then you eventually even interviewed him. So I liked it. I think it's very unfair that Hellraiser Judgment has like 2 stars on IMDb. It's like,
holy
what are you
crap.
guys talking about?
Yeah.
That's a score you should give something like, Hellworld.
Yeah, really, the film. Yeah. I understand a lot of with the story, being close to like 7, and it's a cop story and all that. But really, if you think about it, there's a lot of Hellraiser, the original film's elements in there, like Two Brothers.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I particularly like the whole Stygian. What they call them?
The Stygian Inquisition.
Yeah.
I do too.
I love that expansion that they did.
I thought that was so cool and so creative that it carried the rest of the movie, even though the rest of the movie had serious budget problems.
Yeah. And then it did. It had a lot of problems in that area, but I hope maybe we'll get to see another one. But I'm not so sure. I listened or heard that I heard from there was a podcast that was done by Mr. H. I didn't listen to it, but there was some of the comments that on the YouTube talkback that there might not be any chance of that any of those characters ever coming back. So,
Gary was kind of stepping a little further away from like making movies, I think, right? He wasn't retiring or anything, but I've heard that he was moving, and he might not be doing many more movies, I think. I don't know. This is just me paraphrasing. I may be wrong.
He lives in some Eastern European country, and he's in like a rock band or something.
Yeah.
Oh, really? I didn't know.
Living the dream.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
I recommend that you listen to that interview, 1 hour with Gary Tunnicliffe. Was that what that's what it was called, right? 1 hour with.
Yeah.
And then it ends up being 3 hours.
Yes.
Yeah, it's long.
Yeah, listen to that one, because that's the one where he talks, and then of course the one that Rob mentioned from Mr. Age that came out more recently, right? A few weeks ago or a few days ago.
A few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Is Mr. H for Mr. Hellraiser? Is that what that H is? Does he only this guy only talk about Hellraiser?
No, he talks about all sorts of
all
stuff.
kinds of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Predator, aliens, yeah.
That would be an interesting thing, though. Have a Mr. Hellraiser channel.
Right. Well, there is the Hellraiser podcast also.
Yes. Shout out to those. Looking forward to see more episodes in 2019, guys.
Yeah. Yep. And Jose, you have one more?
I have one more. It was Hellraiser the Toll audiobook.
Oh yeah.
And so I had some fun watching that, and listening to that, and then we got to talk to some of the people who are working on it. We didn't really talk to them on the record. We talked to them more like behind the scenes, and we were given access to the audiobook. So it was fun. Again, it's a big deal for Hellraiser fans because it's still part of the Hellraiser canon, even though it was written by Mark Millar. It had some ideas in there that came from Clive Barker's, ideas like the Devil's Island, right? The French Guiana.
It was really
Penal
adapted
colony.
from a Clive Barker story.
Yeah. So Hellraiser the Toll audiobook, which is now available on Audible, I believe.
Yeah.
Didn't Peter Atkins do a voice in that?
He did.
Yeah.
Yes, he sure did. The voice of the guy who sends the letter to Kirsty.
Yeah, he's a professor, I think.
Yes, I forgot the character name right now, but yes, Peter Atkins is in it, and he does a great job. It's a great letter reading that he goes on and rambles a bit, but that's just what the character is like. So
yeah,
good job, Pete.
Yeah,
it was great hearing you again.
Yeah. And my final one is actually also in a similar vein. It's an audio production, the Bafflegab Hellbound Heart audio production. You know, that just blew us away when that came out, and I loved that. I might just go back and listen to it again just because it was so good.
Yeah, that was also on my runner-up list. So I made a 12-point list, and 11 was the BarkerCast written interview by Gary Tunnicliffe by Rob, and then the Hellbound Heart audio production by Paul Kane for Bafflegab.
Yeah,
that was amazing. They adapted it a little bit. They changed a few things here and there, so it wasn't really just an audiobook. It was really like a production, right? An adaptation.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And it surprised me how great it was. I mean, I put it up there. Probably if I was given a choice between that one and hearing the audiobook narrated by Clive, I'd probably go back and listen to this new one again. Yeah,
sure. We covered that, I believe, on episode 175.
Yeah.
That's when we talked about it, and we reviewed it as well. So there's also a feature on our blog with a review for it by you, Ryan. You put it up on April 12th.
Yeah.
And I just want to quote that first opening line you did. It says, like opening Le Marchand's configuration, I didn't have a full understanding of what I was getting into. This is not an audiobook. It's a full-blown audio drama. This means that though it's extremely faithful to the story, it is an adaptation by Paul Kane. There is no narration because the story is told through dialogue, musical score, and sound effects. So, you gave it a 9.5, which I agree completely.
Yay. Yeah, I was blown away by that, and it way exceeded my expectations of it. And then, Rob, do you have another one? I think you have one more, right?
I'm not. I put my last one was just the surprise to me. I didn't know I would like this movie this much. Was the last movie star with Burt Reynolds. Man, it was really good. It was really kind of reminded me in a lot of ways this like structure wise and the themes and of the story, kind of like Gods and Monsters of a character of a lead character.
Mm-hmm. Like Gods and Monsters and Cold Heart Canyon.
Yeah. That I was completely thinking of Cold Heart Canyon. The movie even opens with him putting his dog down. Yeah.
That's quite an opening there. It sets the tone for the rest of the movie a bit, but then it's very. I like the way the story arc ends, and I'm not going to spoil it, but I like the way the story arc ends. It shows you that getting old is not just a river rushing to the grave, but you don't have to just. Even as your friends are dying around you and stuff, you can make new friends. You can continue to live your life. Hope's the last thing to die, right? I mean, as long as you're alive, you can still enjoy life. And it's never too late to make amends to mistakes you've made.
And this movie was something we did because of a jacket that Lil has originally, right? There's a jacket she's got with a Clive Barker painting on it.
Oh, there's all sorts of stuff.
But we didn't know how much art there was, and not just that, but I mean, also the movie was really surprising. It was a lot better than I expected. I was kind of dreading watching this, for our audio commentary, and then after I watched it, I really liked it.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's I had a lot of fun watching it. I watched it last night. and with my wife, and she loved the movie too. And we were like, "Holy crap! I did not see that one coming."
Yeah.
And at first, I thought, did they make Burt Reynolds look older for the movie?
I thought that exact same thing too. And then as the movie went on, it's like, oh no, I think that's really how he is right now.
Yeah, and I saw some interviews when I was like trying to prepare for the commentary track, and I was like, oh, there he is on stage coming up to do a Q&A, and he's got the cane, and he looks just like the movie. Yeah. So it's like, no, that was really how he looks. And so unfortunate, a few months later, he died of a heart attack, and that was really sad.
Yeah, and it seemed like he even almost had a heart attack in the movie.
In the movie, yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that for his final movie, this is a good one to end on because it's so reflective, you know.
Yeah. I mean, they even had. I don't want to get too spoilery, but it just seemed how, you know, he's talking about. I mean, how the character played football. I mean, Burt Reynolds really played football.
He did for Florida State, right?
Yeah, he played for Florida State.
Wow.
He was in a car accident, and I think he hurt his knee or his back or something like that, and that's when his career ended. And of course, the character in this movie, Vic Edwards, he also has like a sports-related injury that kind of prevents him from continuing to play football.
Yeah.
And you know, it's one of those things. In an alternate universe, what would have happened? Would Burt Reynolds be as an anchor in like an ESPN show by now if he had continued his career? Yeah. Who knows? These things are just defining moments in the life of a person that make you change your career, change your life, and then, you know, you go and you do something else and you become really good at it.
Yeah.
So,
and we'll be going into more of that because our next episode is going to be an audio commentary for The Last Movie Star. So we're kind of gearing up for that, and that's why we're excited about it, or in part. But yeah, I can't wait to do that. That's going to be fun.
Absolutely, yeah. So what do we have on the site? We have a really nice, a really wonderful article that you wrote, Rob, about will the Gods and Monsters Blu-ray please stand up?
Yeah.
Because it's one of those movies that it's not on Blu-ray yet, right?
Yeah, it's never gotten released. I mean, another person brought up a good point. It probably should be. I mean, I was talking about being an HD release, but it probably needs a Ultra HD release by now. Because I mean, Blu-ray is how long has Blu-ray been on the market? How long is it? Yeah. Decade or
over 12 years, I would say. Yeah. I'm not sure. Yeah.
I still don't even have one of those TVs. One of the UHD TVs.
Yeah, I don't either. I probably never will.
I was looking at those the other day, and it's like if you want a decent like 4K Ultra HD, you still have to shell out between $1,500 to $3,000 for a really big one.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I'm talking about bigger than 55-inch. You know, it's like, if you want a really good one.
Yeah.
But
and then you do that, and all your old stuff won't even work on it. Like, you know, all my old video game consoles with weird resolutions, they wouldn't even work.
Yeah.
Oh, they won't work on it? Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, all the legacy ports and stuff start disappearing, and they stop supporting they stop supporting like old resolutions for like 16-bit and 8-bit game consoles. And
people, you gotta keep that stuff in mind. People love all that old stuff, like you play.
Yeah.
I have this channel that I like to watch. Okay, so it's this guy called the 8-Bit Guy. I don't know if you've ever seen his YouTube channel, and this is totally off topic, by the way. But like, I think that the only way to play 8-bit games is in an old like CRT TV. When you go to the flat screen one, it just becomes too clean, and then it's sometimes it's still the 4x3, so you got the big black no man's land around it. But I still think that the best way to play 8-bit games is in a CRT TV.
Well, I think it's clearer to see the pixel separation. I mean, even the Genesis came with a cable that you could plug it into an RGB monitor, like an Amiga monitor, and I used to do that, and I loved it. The resolution was just clearer. the colors were more separated instead of blending together.
Yeah, but composite connections sometimes worked with CRT TVs in the sense that they would give you different colors if you connected it with a composite cable and stuff.
Yeah.
That you probably couldn't get if you just make like a digital,
Right.
TV. So, yeah, but check it out. 8-Bit Guy on YouTube. He is a total nerd when it comes to that sort of thing. He's modified TVs to have RGB or composite, connectors and all that stuff. And you're a big Amiga guy, right? Did you ever have a Tandy computer?
No.
Just the Amiga one?
Yeah.
Did you ever have one of those early Apple ones?
Tandy were like Radio Shack brand IBM clones.
Oh, I see. Mm-hmm. And did you have one of those Mac computers, the early ones like Lisa or?
No. I mean, we had an IBM PC Junior to start with.
Oh, I see.
And then I got an Amiga as my first computer that was my own.
Yeah, the Commodore Amiga was a classic.
Yeah.
You still type some of the transcriptions for our book on your Amiga keyboard, right?
Yeah. I'm working on our second Ann Bobby interview. I'm working on that one on the Amiga.
That's great.
So
what's up next?
We still, yeah. I think up next, our next episode's going to be the Last Movie Star audio commentary. And I guess in this podcast, having no beginning will have no end. You can find the show notes for this episode and join the discussion over at www.clivebarkercast.com, where we have news, features, reviews, and links to all the ways you can connect with us. You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts and every other place you can find podcasts. Clive Barker Podcast, or BarkerCast, is an independent editorial, podcast, and news blog that is not affiliated with or under contract by Clive Barker or Seraphim Inc. This is a labor of love by the fans for the fans.
Thanks for listening.